Hello guys, my name is Khan. Actually, in today's video, what we will be discussing is that how you can create a dashboard, and then within that dashboard, uh, what we will do that in my previous video, as you have seen that we have created a very basic dashboard. But in this video, we will also talk about how you can get the input from the user interface and then how you can display that that input information into the output layout. So this is a kind of a dashboard which we'll be building. So as you can see that in this time our user interface is on the right hand side. I will also tell you guys that how you can move your user interface on the right hand side, because default is that whenever you create a user interface it will be on the left hand side, but you can move around it anywhere on the screen. And then within my user interface I have added a text, and then we will also discuss how you can add a text in your user interface. And then within that, after the writing down the text, that the text is the dashboard is designed to get information from the college student, and below that text I have added text boxes. So and then I will discuss that how you can add a text box and how you can label that text box, because as you can see what is your college name is actually the label of the text box. And then within that text box I have written down LSC, which is showing it on the output window. So whatever we will write down in this text with the text box, it will be exhibited here on our output window. And after that I have written down what is your degree level. So this is the second text box which is labeled as what is your degree level, and within that text box I have written down 18, which is shown then on here. So this is just a start, because in my later videos we will show how whatever user will opt in the user interface can impact our graphs. But now in this video it's very basic, so whatever I'm writing in the text boxes I want to show them on the output window. And another thing to note here is that I'm also playing around with the formatting in terms of that this first text that I have written down is in a very big format. Then the second text box that I have entered is labeled in a medium sized format, and the last text box label is also in a small format, and the same you can see in my output window. I am playing around with the format sizing. So we will also discuss how you can format the text in your dashboard. So again, this kind of dashboard we'll be trying to create through rshiny now. So now I will go back to my screen and then we'll open the R Studio, and then we will start writing the code. So as I will be writing down a new code, so I will be going to my script. So and I will open my script window in separate. So again, this is my script. I will be starting with, because I will be using the Shiny library. So every time whenever you start writing a code, it's better to mention the library you're working on. Otherwise you may get the error, because R will unable to recognize that which library functions that you are using. I will be saying library, and then within that I will be mentioning shiny. Shiny. And after that we will start writing down our code. So again, the first thing that we will be creating is a user interface. First I will create. It's a good habit to keep on commenting on your code file, because it will allow you to understand what are you doing. Create the user interface. So now in order to create a user interface, I will create an object and I will assign all my user interface to that object. So I will be calling it as UI. You can call it whatever you want. After that I will be using a function of shiny, which is shiny UI, to define user interface. this is the function I will be using, and within that function I will be using option that Shiny allows is the fluid page, which we also use in our previous videos too. And now within this fluid page I will start writing down my comments that okay, what will be the title of my dashboard. So in order to write down the title, I will be saying title panel, and after that so I will be mentioning the title of the dashboard. So if you guys remember, so the title of my dashboard is my first dashboard app. So I will go to here, I will say my first dashboard app. So you can write down the title of the panel, whatever you want. So you have right panel. So I will write down is now the next thing is that I have to define my layout. So in order to decide a layout, that because I want a sidebar panel and I want a main panel, so in order to do that I have to use a new function which is within this fluid page, which will be sidebar layout. So I will be saying sidebar layout. So this is the function that I will be using to define the layout. So the first thing is that, as I have mentioned in the dashboard which we are trying to construct, the sidebar panel here is on the right hand side, not on the left hand side. You can easily do it because by default the sidebar panel will appear on the left hand side, but I want the sidebar panel to be on the right hand side. In order to do that, I'm mentioning position is equal to right. So now because of this option that I have taken, my dashboard sidebar panel will appear on the right hand side. I will go back, comma, and now after that we have to within my sidebar panel I want to create a text. So in order to do that, I have to first mention that okay, I am talking about sidebar panel. So in my sidebar panel, I will be having this text first. I want to be written down in my sidebar. This dashboard is designed to get information from the college student. So I will mention the inverted commas, this dashboard is designed to get information from college students. So actually, but if you go back, this is just the first line, but I also want to add other lines. In order to do that, so this is my first text. So this is my first line of the code, but I also want to add another line. So if you want to add another line, the good thing is that you just simply make it into brackets, and for the second line you just have to press comma, and then after the comma you can write down your second line. So my second line will be text input. But before going forward, the thing here to note is that you will be thinking that how I am changing the format of the first line, because the first line format is very big. So actually, in order to do that, you can use a function which is h1, h1 means heading 1. So if you write down before these brackets, so if you can see, this is my first text now. So if I write down h1 here before this bracket, it will be considered as the top heading, and it will be formatted then accordingly. So I'll be saying h1, and now I will be writing down my second line. But again, the first line is just a text line, but the second part of which is what is your college name is actually a text box header. So then now there is a bit different thing we have to do. We have to tell R that okay, now I want to insert text input. So it will be a box where we can get that text from the user. So in order to do that, we will be mentioning text, then input. Actually, this thing I will be using. So within the text input function, if I take my cursor here, you may able to see within the text input you have to give two arguments. The one argument will be that what will be the name of this text input. So this thing will not be shown here, but actually whatever you write down within this text box, the first text box, will be saved under that object name. So suppose if I want to name it as underscore name, so you can write down whatever you want here. Again, this object which you are writing down here will collect all the information whatever you write down here in this textbook and will be stored under this object name. And after that, I will be mentioning this label, the text label name. So I will be writing down what is your college name. So what is your college name? And then after that, again, as you can see that if you want to play around with this formatting, because this line is actually header 4, so if you want to make it exactly the same as h4, what I will do, I will put all the selected option, this thing, under h4. So what I will do, so h1 and h4 are different heading sizes. So I will say h4 bracket, and then I will add a bracket here too. And this, now the next thing is that so actually I have to add another. So the next thing is now I have to add my third text line, which is exactly the same as above. So can copy exactly the same thing, text input, copy, because I don't want to implement any formatting over it. I want to be pasted as it is. So I will just, and now I will change because this is my second text box. I will change it to I will want to be considered as, the object that I want to define here is as level, because I'm asking what is your degree level. Therefore I'm considering that object as a level. So whatever I will write down here, 18, 19 or whatever, that thing will get stored into this object name, which will be named as level, because I'm writing down level here. You can name it whatever you want. So I will be changing the text. So the second text which I'm writing is actually the text that will be appear above this text box, which is what is your degree level. So, and in the end, we have added things into our sidebar panel. Important thing is that whatever we have done here, so I opened the sidebar panel of a function, and within that sidebar function, I have set the first text, the H, which will be having the H1 heading formatting, and then I have written down this dashboard is designed to get information from the college student. Then I have added a text input within this sidebar panel, and within the sidebar panel I have written down another text input. So we'll be having one text line through two text inputs. Now the point is that, and then after the second bracket I have closed the sidebar panel options. Now I will be moving towards my main panel. So I'll be writing down main panel. I'll be using this shiny. So within this main panel argument, I am not writing down anything now, but I will go back after creating my server, which will be computing, because I have to write down this time, because in my later videos you guys may have also observed that within this main panel function I was not writing down any argument, but this time we need to write down some arguments in main panel, because I want to display whatever I am doing, writing down in my text inputs, to be shown on my output. So I have to tell that I want those things to be written down or pasted on my main panel. But before that, what I will do, I will take you guys to my second part, where I will be creating a shiny server. So I will be saying, now I will create a server, and within that I will start with the shiny server, and within that I will be first defining an object server. You can define it whatever way. It's my I always consider it as a server, but you can name it whatever you want. And within that I will be using function, and then within function the first argument will be input, and the second will be output. You have to write down input output as it is, you can't change it here. And then I will be writing down that curly brackets. And after that, now a bit important thing here to note is that what we have done, when I have used this text input function, within that I have said that okay, what if for this text input, whatever we'll write down will be saved under this object, and for second object, whatever we'll write down under the second text box will be saved under level. So now we have to tell our shiny server that we want to use those the text that we saved under named object and under level object will be passed to the output side. So this is the point where we will tell R that okay, whatever we have written down over under text input will be passed towards the output side. So in order to do that, what we'll be doing, we'll be saying output. We say output $, $sign, and then I will be naming my output object as suppose out underscore name. You can, this part you can name whatever you want, because what will be happening now is that I will be I will assign this name, which will be from the input side, to my output object. So this thing is kind of my output object or a variable. So in order to do that, I will be using this sign greater than minus, which will be used as assign sign in R. And after that, I will be using a option render text. Actually, what render text will do, it will help you to get the text from this input object that we have created, input the name. So in order to call this object that you have created name, so you have to tell that where you created. Actually, this is where we are creating when we have initiated this text input. So we will be saying input $, and the object name which we have defined here, which is name. And after that, the same as it is we have on other text for the level, I will just copy it and then paste it on the next line, and I will just simply change it to out level. And then after that, I will be mentioning level here. So in short, what we have done is, first we have created text input boxes, and whatever we write down within those text boxes will be saved in name and level, which are input objects. And then in my server function, I am saying that defining that input objects to assigning them to output objects. So this server part got completed, but the point is that I want to print. This is not doing any printing in our main panel. So in order to tell R that okay, the objects that we have created, the output object that we have created must be shown in our output panel, we have to make some edits in main panel now, which is very straightforward. In order to do that, you will mentioning, so just like we have said text input, here we'll be writing then text output. So we'll be saying text output, and within the text output I will be mentioning my object name. So actually the first object name which I have created, which is the out underscore name. So within the inverted comma, I will be mentioning out underscore name, and after that I have to use my text output again. So I'll be mentioning comma and again text output, and again I will be mentioning the second object that I have created under my output is the out level. So I have this within the inverted commas, I am saying out underscore level. So now I think we are ready to go, but before that I will be mentioning, because we have created this object UI and share server. So in order to run the Shiny app or Shiny, in order to create a dashboard, we have to use this Shiny app command. And within that, I will first mention the first object, which is the user interface, and then my second function, which is the server. So now if I run this code, it will create a dashboard very close to what I have shown you guys here. So I'll say Control Shift Home Enter. So actually I have to check my code. I got some error. Actually the error occurred because there is one of the bracket was missing here, so I just added that bracket. And secondly, the title panel, the P is capital. So title panel, because title panel is the function of our Shiny library. So now if I execute it, hopefully I will not get any errors. So I will shift home, enter. And so this is the dashboard that we have just created. And now the important thing is that suppose whatever I write down here, so down here you can see it's appearing here. And if I write down something here, so suppose my degree level is 18. So if I write down 18 here, it's appearing here. But suppose if I want to increase the font of 18, I can also do that. So where I'm mentioning text output, suppose I want it to be highlighted as heading 1. So I will be saying H1 bracket and then heading bracket here. And then if I execute my old code now, enter. Again, if I write down something here, you can see it's appearing here on my output panel. And also the thing here is that my sidebar panel is on the right hand side because of the position option we have defined. And the second thing I will be doing is what is your degree level. I will say 19. As you can see now the font size is very big. It's the heading 1 font size we are using. And I also can open it into the browser. So now it's taking us to the browser. So, and even here if I do something, you can see it's still even in my browser it's working. So this app is working perfectly fine the way we want. And as you can see in my later videos, I will be constructing such kind of dashboard where we'll be also adding tables and visualizations. So I'll close this browser. So another thing and the good important thing is I haven't saved this file. It's better to save it. I will save it file. I want to save it within my videos, and then within videos it's rshiny, and I'm creating my first Shiny app. See, first Shiny app. I will save it. So this is the code that we have created. And within this code, we have created a user interface object and a server object. And then we are calling those objects within our US server. And other way of executing the code is that if you just run this run app button, it will do the same thing. It will execute your code. So this is one of the way you can create your Shiny app. Before just finishing this video, I will show you guys that there is another way in which you don't have to create these objects, UI and server. You can do it without doing that. But in order to do that, you have to create two .r files or code files. One with the name of UI and the second will be the name of server within the same working directory. So I will quickly show that will also do the same thing. So in order to do that, I will just close it and I will go back to my browser. So this is the browser we have saved the file that we have just created. I will just copy it and then paste it. So I will just make some few edits. So I will go here. So actually before we start saving it, it's better to. So I will rename this file to UI. So this is my user interface file. The code is still the same, but I will make some slight changes into it, and then I will show that. So this is my user interface file. So that's why I don't need this second part, and I don't need to write down Shiny app. So I will write down. So I will just delete it, and I don't. As I said that by this way you don't need to create an object. You also can remove this object. But before defining the library, you have to mention in which working directory you are working. So I'll be, in order to set the working directories, by working directory means that where your files are located or where, so you have to mention that. set working directory, and within the working directory you have to mention the file path, so, or the folder path. So this is the where we are working. So I will just copy the path, and within the path I will just, so this is the path where are we working. So actually I'm getting the error because backslashes need to be changed to the forward slashes. So I've saved it and I can execute it. See, everything is working fine. Yes, everything is working fine. I didn't get any error. So, but this is the one part. So the second thing is, just copy it again. I have to change my second file, which will be having the server part of the code. So I will go back to here. I will rename this code file as a server, which will be having my code related to the manipulation of the data. Change it, because many times you will see that user kind of separate out the code file in a user interface UI.r file in a separate code, and as a server as a separate file. But it will do the same thing. So, but this is my server file now. I don't need the user interface part. Again, before the library, I will tell what is my working directory. And after that, I also don't need this thing. And I will also remove this object. And now, as you can see that in my R, I am using this server file. The user interface file is in the separate file. It's a separate .r file. But if I execute here, it will automatically go to my working directory. They will extract my user interface file code and make it part of this file, and will execute it. So in this way you will be having your user interface code in a separate .r file, rshiny server related code into a separate file, and you don't need to have create object that I have created before. So whatever way you like better you can do. For me, I usually like to play around with the objects. That's why I mostly work in that way. So if I run app now, save selected, and as you can see that it's still working and it's giving us the same information. Even if I write down something here, you can see it's appearing there, and even if I write down here, you can see that everything is working fine. But it's a different way of making your shiny dashboard. So again, the first way is to create objects for user interface and for server. The second way is that you create your user interface code in the separate R file and your shiny server related code into a separate file. But both are doing the same thing. There is no difference. Thank you for watching.